Hi, I'm Matthew Fermi from Soldiers of Fortune Paintball. I'll be doing a teardown of the MRX today for Night Shadow Productions.
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game!
As you've probably seen Ron's video about the review of this marker, there's some pretty cool features. I'll be also going over some of the features, but I'll be mainly tearing down the gun so you guys can see how to disassemble it. So first thing we're going to do is take the barrel off. As you can see right now, it's put on mag fed like Ron showed earlier, and then there's your loader. So we bring it to the middle point, slide the barrel out. Now dealing with the technical side of it, you can see these flat O-rings. They're included in your kit, and they're used to hold in the barrel when you have it in the marker, and they're also used to hold in the ball tip. So that's the barrel. We'll take off the stock, we'll take out the clip next. And then we can take off the sight. I'm not sure if Ron mentioned, the sight is pretty cool. It's fully adjustable up and down, and it also has a smaller hole for sighting and a larger, and you can move it back and forth. So we'll take off the stock now. The gun or the marker also comes with 3 Allen keys. Pretty much all the Allen keys will fit this marker to take apart. So there's a screw on the side here to hold the stock. So after we take the stock out, this is like every other Spyder marker out there, has a push pin. It's very easy. Push it out a bit, and this will, once I take this out, it'll take out all the internals of the marker. So I put a finger at the back holding it in place as I pull this pin out. As you can see, comes out the back. There's your velocity adjuster spring. Oops. Of course I gotta pull out the cocking pin. Now the cocking pins on these are Loctited in, but they're used blue Loctite. Please remember that when disassembling these markers, you should try and purchase a small bottle of blue Loctite, possibly a Canadian Tire, to so that way you can reapply it to the threads on your cocking. Alright, so after I get that out, I turn the gun so the back's facing down. I just tap it on my hand to bring it out. Now you can see it's come out, and there's the bumper. So I'll use an Allen key to pop the bumper out. Once I get the bumper out, the rest of it's easy, it slides out. Now you can see your top bolt has 2 O-rings for sealing, and your hammer has just a single red one. These all come in the kit with the marker. Okay, now that we have it clear out, you can see, I can look at you through the camera through the hole here. That's all clean. So what you want to do if you have a break, you go use a squeegee. You could pull through, you could use just a straight swab. Clean out the top part, clean out the bottom, and then when you're reassembling, you want to put a drop of oil on each of these O-rings. Okay, now we'll take off the feed neck. Has 2 screws on the side here holding it in. It's the first time disassembling it, so everything's pretty tight. What I do recommend when you reassemble the marker, due to vibration, we're going to be completely disassembling it. Some of these parts you won't be doing on a daily basis. What I do recommend if you do have to do a complete disassembly is that you either have A, blue Loctite, or B, another very useful thing is clear fingernail polish. It provides the same amount of retention as the blue Loctite for keeping the screws in place. So, get the feed neck off. After we get the feed neck off, we'll take off the 2 bottom line screws, and then we'll take off the trigger frame. Now once I get the trigger frame off, we'll be able to see where this eco valve of Kingman's is. That way you guys can see why they get so many shots coming out of their markers. Now, you'll see in the next video, Ron does a test with the marker to see how many shots it actually does get out. He probably will test it on a 20-ounce CO2 tank because that is that's the amount of shots that they actually talk about on their box. So what they claim is a 20-ounce CO2 tank on this marker, and I'm assuming it's in optimum conditions. For example, they probably tested it in California where the temperature is high enough and the tank's really not freezing on them. You'll probably see, there we go, I just got to unscrew the bottom piece here. What you'll probably see, it's just easy to unscrew. Sorry, I don't want to show you guys this. No blue Loctite on these, please. The reason why I say that is because if you can see in there, hopefully the camera can have a good view of it, there is a washer in there. When you screw on your bottom line, your ASA, when you screw that back together, it'll press into that washer and make a seal. You do not need Loctite, you do not need Teflon tape. All you need is that washer there to seal it. It's almost like a garden hose seal. As I was saying about the CO2, at least with Ron doing the test with the CO2, apparently these guns get 1,600 paintballs out of them on a full 20-ounce fill, opposed to, I believe, what they're comparing to is their comparison is a paintball marker getting 800 shots, opposed to their marker getting 16. If I had to guess, the 800 shots is probably out of a Tippmann A5, just due to the cyclone feed using that extra air to fire the marker. So we got the trigger frame off. You can see I can move the clip here. You can also take the mag release off. There's a small little star head on there. You just screw that out. There's a spring located underneath here. I'm not going to take it out just because really you should never have to take this out. Maybe every once in a while you're going to unscrew it just to clean it out after a year of use. But I don't recommend taking it apart often. So you can see on the marker, you have here your Sear, just used for, like they call these, Sear trippers. And then your trigger, you can see me pulling the trigger. So I'll show you guys, when you're firing the marker, I'm pushing this Sear down and forward, and it catches onto the trigger and lifts it up and down. And that's why they refer to it as a Sear tripper. Okay, so we got that off. Now I'm going to take the shroud off. Has 6 screws here on the side to take off. They all use the same Allen key. Right there, what's falling off is the nut. Now again, just to reiterate, you should be working on a clear work area. I've said that in my other videos. And of course, you want to ensure that there's no CO2 on your marker when you first start working on it. Also, what some markers do is they will retain air after you've taken the CO2 off. I do recommend cocking it back once with a barrel blocking device on. Pull the trigger, make sure there's no air left in the marker. So, you got the shroud off. I loosened all the screws, 6 screws here. You see that's the basics of the shroud. If you ever want to clean this out, what I recommend doing is filling your sink up with warm water. Put them in the sink, use an old toothbrush you're not going to use again, and take out all the paint debris out of these slots. So now we're down to the bare bones of the marker. You can also take off the sight rail. Again, guys, this is more of pretty extreme, maybe once a year cleaning, just to get out any of that old paint left over. I'll loosen these off quickly. See, there's your rail. So now we're at the bare bones of the marker. Now this little piece here, it's free moving. You just gotta watch when you're taking it apart. This piece here is a little nub, and it holds the barrel in place when you take the marker in or take the barrel in and out. So just make sure you don't want to lose that one. Now there's a nut here or a bolt here on the front I'm going to take out. This one here, I have my thumb in front of it because it holds in a spring going to your valve. So you can see the pressure. It's just sliding itself out. There's one O-ring on there. You really shouldn't need to go in this far with your marker, only if there's a major leak. So there's your spring, there's your cup seal, and you can see in there's your valve. Now what I'll do is I'll actually take out the valve. Again, don't recommend removing any of these last components I've been showing you, because the only reason you should take these apart is if you do have a leak coming down the barrel. That's when you know you have a problem with your cup seal or something with your valve. So after I take that apart, the grub screw there, you can use an Allen key and push it forward to the front. I'm sorry if I'm blocking it off. I should have grabbed a swab. With a swab, I can actually push it from the back through right out the front here. There's the valve that they use that they get very, very good efficiency on. You can see some bored holes through it. This is all part of the process in which they're getting the additional shots. Also, you can see a lot of the new markers out there, or the older markers that were getting less shots, they had on here what looked like a little star, and that was used to keep this in place from going in and out each time you were firing your marker. My guess is Kingman has come up with something new, especially with the beveled entrance here, in which they're not as concerned of this coming out of place and going like that and leaking with your marker. So this is probably some of the reasons why you are getting more efficiency. So now, that's the teardown of the marker. One last thing before I start putting it back together. When reinserting this, you only have one hole on the top in which the air comes through, and then you got your bottom one where the grub screw goes in. Now remember, if you put this in wrong, you'll try to fire your marker, and all it'll do is push paint up through. So when you put it back in, you make sure the large hole is facing out the front of the gun. So I'm going to start reassembling the gun. I'm going to be quiet now, and you guys can just observe me doing it. If you have any questions, please write to Night Shadow. He gets in contact with me, or he'll be able to answer them on his own about the guns and products and how they work. That's the disassembly of the MRX, or reassembly. Okay?